All right, guys, gather around. Come here. Gather around. Hey! All right, jeez. Do you want to go up or not? All right, now listen. If you don't have 3 or more people here today to support you, you're not on the lineup. All right? Scott, again, you're not on the lineup. I don't care how many times you register for the open mic. No one's here to see you, Scott. So you're not on the lineup. Go away. Did you pay for that drink? Scott, did you pay for... Close out your tab. Close out your tab. All right, guys, you guys are doing 7 to 8 minutes. All right? I need 7 to 8 minutes. You don't have 7 to 8 minutes? What do you mean? What? Then you're not on the lineup. Give me 7 to 8. I don't care if the commercial said 5 minutes. You're going to do 7 to 8 minutes. Now, do you want the spot or not? All right, then shut up. Now, also, I don't want you in the showroom after your set. The showroom is for paying customers only. I do not want you to see you sitting down in the showroom. If you go to the showroom, I'm going to charge you for a ticket. Okay, now, keep the F-bombs to a minimum. Jace, did you hear what I said? Keep the F-bombs to a minimum. 3 is too many, 2 is all right. Keep the F-bombs to a minimum. If you go over your time, the music comes on, we pull you off. It's that simple. I don't care if you're going into your best joke ever. If you're not done within 7 to 8 minutes, we're turning on the music and you're getting off stage. All right, and finally, no talking about fisting your girlfriend, all right? It's not comedy and it's not funny. No, Joe, you cannot use other words to describe fisting your girlfriend. Don't do it. You guys are just starting. There's no need to go the filthy route, all right? I don't care how you say it, Joe. No, Joe, it's not. If I'm not laughing right now at you telling me this, then you can't say it on stage, all right? Do you want the time or not? I'll be listening, Joe. I will be listening. All right, guys, go out and have a good set and make them laugh or whatever. Just stay out of the showroom, all right? All right, have a good show. This week on Facebook on a comedy page called the El Paso Comedy Page, or El Paso Comedy, I posted, if you're not in stand-up comedy to become famous, then you need to quit so the odds are better for the rest of us.
What have we got here? A fucking comedian, private joker.
Now, I didn't post this to try to rile anybody up, but it appears that I did. In fact, I had a lot of comedians, local comedians, respond to that, and they took exception to it.
You little scumbag! I got your name. I got your ass.
Some of them admitted to being hobbyists. Others admitted to or tried to explain that they weren't in stand-up comedy to become famous. But look, let's face it. If you're in stand-up comedy, it's because you crave the attention. You want to be recognized for doing something that very few people can say they do.
Private joker, why did you join my beloved corps? Sir, to kill, sir. So you're a killer? Sir, yes, sir. Let me see your war face. Sir! You got a war face? Ah! That's a war face! Now let me see your war face! Ah! Bullshit! You didn't convince me! Let me see your real war face! Ah! You don't scare me! Work on it!
You want to be the funniest person out there. That comes with the territory. You're not going up there because you want to make people laugh. That's not why you're going up there. You're going up there because you want to get all the attention. You want to be in the spotlight. You want to be recognized for something you do very well, and you want to do it better than anybody else. That's why you're in this. You're not in this for the art form. Come on, let's be honest with us. Are you really in it for the art form?
Now choke yourself. With my hand, numbnuts. Don't pull my fucking hand over there. I said choke yourself. Now lean forward and choke yourself.
The way I see it, if a comedian has been in the business long enough, they will soon come to realize that they are reaching for fame. You are in this to be recognized. Now, I'm guilty of having that modest approach to stand-up comedy. When I first started doing it, this is what I would say, I'm only doing stand-up comedy so that I can become good enough to eventually make a living from it. That's all I want. If I never get recognized, it's fine. If I never get famous, that's fine. Really? That's when I'm putting all my time and effort to have a job, to be a stand-up comedy. Well, first of all, you can't be a working comedian or depend on stand-up comedy as your sole income by not being recognized. And so what do I mean by famous? Do I mean that you've got to be famous enough to where people recognize you on the street? You're on TV, you're in movies, you're on radio, you're everywhere? Not necessarily, but you do need to be famous enough to be booked by the Improv or comedy clubs all across the nation. You have to have some level of fame. If we were in it for just the art form, there would be no need or desire to want to get paid for doing this. You would just do it for free. You would do all the benefits, you would do all the shows, and you would let the producers know that they can keep the money. Oh, go ahead and keep the money. I do this for free. I do this for the art form. Come on. And the more recognized you get, the more famous you get, the higher the paycheck. And if you're famous or you're well recognized or people recognize you around the country in comedy, they'll be looking to book you. You will have bookings all across the calendar every month, every year. But if you're just in it for the art form and you really have no desire to get famous from it, and this is just a hobby, then I can guarantee you won't get booked at the famous comedy clubs around the country. But we all want to do that. We all want it. If you take a moment to listen to some of these podcasts or some of these interviews with comedians, they're asked what they aspire to be, what they aspire to do, where do they want their comedy to take them. And none of them, it's been my experience that none of them say, well, I don't want it to take me anywhere. I'm very content in working and performing at bars and the occasional hosting at a comedy club, or maybe a feature act here and there, or maybe a headliner can take me out on the road and maybe I can open for them. I'm content with that.
You are pukes. You are the lowest form of life on earth. You are not even human fucking beings. You are nothing but unorganized, grabastic pieces of amphibian shit.
I'm content with doing that and then going back to my regular 9 to 5. You're not going to hear any stand-up comedian say that, ever. I mean, if you decided to take the stage and bare your soul, and that's exactly what you're doing when you get up on stage, you are baring your soul because you're standing up there in front of a room full of strangers and telling them, hey, I can make you laugh. Watch me. And then when they don't laugh, that is probably the most horrible feeling in the world, to get up there and humiliate yourself.
Because I am hard, you will not like me. But the more you hate me, the more you will learn. I am hard, but I am fair. Here you are all equally worthless. And my orders are to weed out all non-hackers who do not pack the gear to serve in my beloved corps.
I've been through it many times. And believe me, the fact that I've been humiliated up on stage makes those other times where I'm not humiliated up on stage that much more special. So you've got comedians saying, I'm a hobbyist, or I'm not trying to get famous from this. Here's a question. Are they taking any valuable stage time away from you? No, they're not. Because if you're good at what you're doing and you have been working at it, you'll find the stage time. Stage time is not hard to find. Stage time at a comedy club, a little more difficult to come by. But you cut your chops somewhere, right? At the bars, at performances, corporate performance, whatever. But to say that you're not in this to get mass recognition, you're fooling yourself. Now, I'm going to refer to a couple of movies here. There is I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Great Balls of Fire. It's a movie about Jerry Lee Lewis. And I think you'll find this in every movie that portrays a musician or something like that. Jerry Lee Lewis, maybe the story of Elvis Presley, or any movie having to do with any singer out there. You will inevitably find that these singers, before they were famous, they say, watch, one day everyone's going to know me. Watch, one day I'm going to be a famous singer. And I was watching a show, a series, I forgot what the name of the series is, but it's based on the life of F. Scott Fitzgerald, or at least he's one of the characters, a famous author. And throughout the beginning of that series, he continues to proclaim to his girlfriend and family and strangers and friends to say, I'm going to be a famous writer one day. He didn't say, I'm going to write because this is my hobby and I just want to do it because I appreciate the art form. No, he said, I'm going to be a famous writer one day. Well, if you're in stand-up for any amount of time, eventually you tell yourself, what the heck am I doing this for? Just to pass the time? To leave my family on a weekly night or a weekend night just to pass the time? Make a couple of bucks, maybe go up there, bare my soul for an hour, make $50 for the headlining set? Is that what I'm in it for? Well, I'm in it for the art form. I shouldn't get paid for it. If you've been in stand-up for any amount of time, you have to eventually realize, hey, I'm either going to pursue fame or not. And if I'm not going to, Why am I wasting my time doing stand-up comedy? So I could perform at casinos, bars, restaurants for the rest of my comedic career? Or whatever I may call it, if I have a full-time job. Is this also, do I have two careers going? Do I have my full-time job career and my stand-up hobby career? Let's face it, in order to get anywhere in stand-up comedy, you have to be recognized. People will have to know who you are. Whether you're YouTube famous or a podcaster that became famous or somebody that just puts out funny content all the time and become famous that way. You want to get recognized. And with recognition comes fame. Think about that. With recognition comes fame. So if you're in stand-up comedy and don't want to elevate yourself past the hosting gig at the local comedy club, if that's all you want to do, then okay, you don't want to get recognized. You're doing this for the sake of the art. But I find it funny that comedians will meet a famous comedian and strike up a friendship or a camaraderie or whatever. Don't you think that comedian wants some of that fame to rub off? Don't you think that comedian wants that famous comic to one day say, hey, why don't you come out on the road with me? Why do you think that is? It's because we crave the recognition, that's why. We want the same recognition that famous person is getting. I recall the local comedy club owner here in El Paso. He pulled me aside one time, and I was opening quite frequently for that club. And he pulled me aside. He pulled me in. He paid me at the end of the week, and he pulled me, hey, he said, come on in here. Let's talk a while. And he just flat out put it out there to me. What do you want out of this? What do you want out of stand-up? And I told him, I want to make stand-up comedy my living. I want to depend on stand-up comedy for my sole source of income. And then he proceeded to go ahead and encourage me. And not necessarily, he didn't exactly tell me what to do. He goes, but he did say that anytime you want to try something new when you're working here, go for it. I don't care if it works or if it doesn't work. Just go for it. Take a few risks. Now, I'm pretty sure that he said that because I played it safe up to a certain point opening for that comedy club. I wanted to play. I wanted to do my best 10 minutes of material so that I could set a great tone for the show. So sometimes I would go with the same material for the entire week. Maybe the next week I would change it. But it were the same. Eventually, if you work at a club long enough, you start doing the same bits of material. Even if you have an hour or 2 hours, eventually the comedy club owner has probably heard all of your jokes. So he pulled me in there to encourage me to go and dig a little deeper. He said, go ahead, feel free to try new things. I don't care. Just go up there and have a good time. Even then, that was almost 3 years ago. Even then, at that time, I still had that modest response. Oh, I don't want to get famous for it. I don't need to be famous. I just want to be a working comic. You have to be famous and recognized to be a working comic, for crying out loud. Come on. You want to work in St. Louis, Florida, New York, comedy clubs out in Denver, California, Arizona? How about in Alabama? How about in Georgia? You want to get booked in those places? Well, they're going to have to recognize you. They're going to have to know who you are. You think they want to hire you as an opener? No. Why? Because they have local openers. They don't need to pay somebody to come in from out of town to make $20 to $50 to open a show. Feature act? Maybe you could feature on the road? You don't think these clubs have access to local features too? And don't fool yourself. Some of these headliners bring their feature acts along with them. So if you can't open and you can't feature on the road at good quality comedy clubs, what's left? You have to headline. And how in the world are you ever going to headline if nobody has ever heard of you? So think about what you say before you say, oh, I'm not seeking fame in this. Because I guarantee you that those comedians who say they're not seeking fame, they won't be around 20 years down the line. Maybe 10, maybe 15 they'll skate by. Maybe they'll find a way to make some money by doing other things other than stand-up. Remain somewhat in the comedy scene, but maybe not 100% stand-up. Maybe they do other things. Maybe they can run their own thing and survive 10, 15, 20 years doing that same thing. But what is the level of satisfaction you're going to get without getting the recognition that we are all out there to get? Think about when you watch a comedian shred a room. And I'm posing this question to comedians out there. Think about when you see a headliner just kill a room, just shred it. What's your attitude towards that? What are you thinking? Are you thinking, man, I hope that guy gets all the fame he wants or he deserves. I hope she gets all the fame that she deserves. I hope that comedian goes very far and the world recognizes their talent. Is that what you're thinking? No, that's not what you're thinking. Be honest with yourself. What you're thinking when you're watching a headliner shred a room, you're thinking, man, I wish I could do that. Man, I wish that was me up there. You're filled with such excitement and motivation when you watch somebody shred a room. You're not watching that comedian and say, oh, wow, that comedian is really good at this art form. Oh, I can really appreciate how this comedian approaches the art of stand-up. Come on, seriously, that's what you're thinking? No, it's not. That's not what you're thinking at all. No, that should be me up there. That should be me shredding this room. That should have been me, and that should be me. I want to get to that level at any cost. Maybe it's going to take 10 years for some of the comedians out there to realize that they are in this for the fame. Maybe that's what it's going to take. Because to be honest with you, I just recently had that realization. I recently thought, well, what am I doing this for? Don't I want fame? Don't I want to be recognized by my peers and by audiences all across the country? Maybe even the world? Yes, I do. That's why I'm doing this. I don't care if you as a comedian gets recognition. I don't care if you get fame. I don't care if you get recognized. I care if I get recognized. I care that I get recognized more than every other comedian that I'm working with. Do I enjoy the success of others? Absolutely I do. But I want that fame for me too. I want to be the one in the spotlight. I want to be the one that gets movie roles or even cameo roles or even commercial roles. I need to do something. I want to get that recognition. I mean, just think about how disgusted you get when you see somebody who's YouTube famous. Somebody who's not even as funny as you may think you are. Think about that. I know we've all done it. We've all done it. So a friend or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever shows you a video on YouTube. I said, look at this. This is funny. Look at this. And what are you thinking? You're thinking, that's not funny. How many hits does that person have? Over 1 million hits? For that? That's what people think is funny? No, that's not. Give me a break. Are you serious? That's what people think is funny? Yet I'm over here working for $20 a gig, maybe $10, maybe just a drink. Maybe you get paid in drinks at your gigs while these YouTubers are out there making a bunch of cash. And did you know this? Did you know that some of these YouTubers who put out comedy content, who are not necessarily comedians, do you know that they're getting booked at comedy clubs to do stand-up? They're getting booked at comedy clubs to do stand-up comedy. And they're not even stand-up comedians. Doesn't that make you sick? It makes you sick and disgusted.
Did your parents have any children that lived?
Sir, yes, sir.
I bet they regret that. You're so ugly you could be a modern art masterpiece.
But guess what? They're doing the work. They're putting in the comedy content out there. They're uploading videos every week on YouTube, once a week, twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. They're putting the content out there and somebody eventually recognizes them. But you're just in it as a hobby, right? That's all you want to do. This is just a hobby. You want to end up paying more for your trip on out-of-town gigs than you are going to make at that gig. You're fine with that. For the rest of your career, you're okay with that. We need to start being honest with ourselves as entertainers, as comedians, as performers. If you're not in this to get famous, then you need to get out of the way and make room for the ones that are. Are you taking any stage time away from me if you're a hobbyist? No, you're not. You're not. Because if I wanted your stage time, I'd take it. Any comedian out there who's worth their weight in gold, they could just take it away from the hobbyists. They can take it away from the beginners, sure. But we don't. If we don't want it, we don't. So nobody's robbing us of stage time. I never meant to imply that with my status. And I'm surprised that people got offended, that some comedians got offended at what I posted up there. They got offended. Well, I'm not in it for fame. I just want to get better. Oh, duh. You want to get better? Yeah, of course you do. Anything you do as a human being, you want to get better at it. You want to achieve some certain level of success, right? So what's that level? So once you reach what level? What level are you willing to just say, okay, I've reached it. I'm done with stand-up. Let's go to the next one. I'll hand it to the hobbyists, though. I'll hand it to the people that are just doing this just to pass the time. They help other people who are actually trying to reach the fame. They help us out, too. Sure, and I'm not singling anybody out. I'm not, because I know deep down inside every comedian that's listening to this podcast, if you are truly, truly honest with yourself, you can admit that you are trying to seek fame. Fame and mass recognition. That's why you're in this. That's why you put in your blood and sweat and tears and humiliation and everything that goes into stand-up. That's why you do it, because you want to be recognized by friends, family, strangers, that cheerleader that turned you down in high school, everybody. It's time to put away the modesty in stand-up. So even if you played devil's advocate on my post on the comedy page, even if you just wanted to take my opposition, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But I know better that you're trying to achieve the same things that I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to be better than you. You're trying to be better than me. And that's okay. And I've learned in 10 years of stand-up, I've learned to appreciate that from other comedians. It pushes us. And I guarantee you, if I achieve any level of fame, you better believe I'm bringing some of those people that I've worked with, I'm bringing them along too. We're all in this and we're all competitive about it. We all are. All of us. When somebody in the local comedy scene does something amazing or something worthwhile or something worth talking about, we're envious.
Where in the hell are you from anyway, Private? Sir, Texas, sir! Holy dog shit. Texas, only steers and queers come from Texas, private cowboy. And you don't much look like a steer to me, so that kind of narrows it down.
Hell yeah, we're envious. I'm envious of all of you. Anytime I see you guys posting things that you're accomplishing or places that you're going or gigs that you're going to, I'm envious. I don't mind admitting it. Why lie? I'm envious. And in the same breath, I want you to be envious of me. That's what this business is made on. It's built on that. It's built on our egos. It's built on our self-centeredness. I don't care how humble you like to play it off. You want the attention. You need the attention. And you'll do anything to get it. So while I understand how some people disagreed with me on my post about wanting to be famous, while I understand that, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And the only reason I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt is because I realize you haven't been in stand-up for that long to really be honest with yourself about why you're doing it. And I swear, if I read one more interview where a stand-up comedian is asked, why do you do stand-up? Why did you want to be a comedian? And the answer is because I always enjoyed making people laugh. Oh man, I'm going to throw up next time I read that. I just like to make people laugh. Doug Stanhope was interviewed about that very same thing, and you'd have to find it up on YouTube. I wish I could. If I do find it, I'll post it on the link to my podcast. But he said, listen, you don't care if a comedian does it. You're not in it because you just like to make people laugh. Because if that was the case, you would be very happy when other comedians made the people laugh, even if it wasn't you. Of course, I'm not saying that verbatim, but that's the gist of what he was saying. So what's it going to take? How much longer do you have to do this for you to realize, hey, I want to be famous. I want to be recognized. I want to sign autographs. I want people to take pictures of me. I want them to take selfies with me. I want them to post it up on social media. Come on, be honest with yourself.
How tall are you, Private? Sir, 5'9", sir. 5'9". I didn't know they stacked shit that high. You trying to squeeze an inch in on me somewhere, huh? Sir, no, sir. Bullshit. It looks to me like the best part of you ran down to cracking your mama's ass and ended up as a brown stain on the mattress. I think you've been cheated.